Morning, everybody. Today I am going to go over the following. We're going to review how to search and assess the validity of scholarly and popular sources. I am going to review how to write an annotation. And then finally, I'm going to give you an overview of the scholarship sample page that I drafted, excuse me, for you to use as a model for the group website. So, if you would, please start by navigating to today's class plan. And from here, let's then move to the Georgia Tech website. All right, so we've done this a bunch of times. Here I am at the Georgia Tech homepage. I want to find a scholarly article. So I am going to go to Find Databases. Once I click on Find Databases, I'm going to want to navigate to the Modern Language Association database. I'm going to click on the MLA International Bibliography. All right, so remember that Hamlet is a book that has more published about it than almost any other book. So you're going to want to be able to narrow your search. So go ahead and click on Advanced Search. First thing that we're searching for is Hamlet. And then in my model, I have been thinking about the ways in which Hamlet's, obsession with with death generally, and then with sort of like the skull specifically, might be a way to think about bad collections. So that skull, that Hamlet picks up in the graveyard in Act 5 is part of a larger tradition called the memento mori, and so I'm going to use that as my key term to limit my Hamlet search. So memento mori, Hamlet, and then I get 9 articles. All right, so I've got my main term, my subterm that narrows my search, and then I have to search through search through each of these articles to see which of the articles is most useful in my scholarship. So one thing that I might want to do is go over here. I'm going to exclude dissertations, which doesn't do anything. I might just want to, and then this falls under the assessing the validity. I just want peer-reviewed journals, so I'm going to click on the peer review, and that gets rid of 2. All right, so now I am down to just 7, and I can read through the titles and figure out which of them I would like to use. So, for example, we've got this one, "'Tis Now the Very Witching Time of Night, Halloween Horror, and the Memento Mori in Hamlet." So we know that this essay is going to be about not only Hamlet, but also film adaptation. So maybe that would be a useful article, maybe not. The Curtain Drawer of the World, Hamlet, Lear, Parks, and Beckett. You guys might not know this, but if you click on this, Notes and Queries is a journal that publishes very, very short essays. So that might not be exactly what I'm looking for, because it's more like, I don't know how to put this, very long explanatory glosses. All right, so maybe how's this one? This one seems good. It's about Hamlet as a memento mori poem. It's in PMLA. PMLA is the flagship journal of the Modern Language Association. It's on the old side, but I'm not super worried about that at the moment. Oh, and it's linked. That's kind of nice. Let's click on it. And then we know from this abstract, the 5-act structure of Hamlet is modeled on the momentum Mortimer Morris lyric as practiced in the English tradition from 83. Crucial fact that opens a set piece in the genre, taking its points of departure, blah, 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 blah. This seems really useful. It's good. It seems like a good explanation of the play, good explanation of the memento mori as a tradition. And I know from reading this abstract that this is the type of article that would provide context for the whatever whatever topic I'm working on. So sure, this is a good article. It's linked. I click on the link to find it. Takes me to JSTOR. That's nice. I can download as a PDF. I proceed to download, and voila, here's my article. Okay, so now that I've found my article, what do I do with it? So I'm going to want to write an annotation. So the first step in writing an annotation is citing the source. If you click on this article, or I'm sorry, if you click on this link, it takes you to this nice template that you can use to cite your source. You're welcome to use Purdue OWL or any other internet source, but this seemed like a new way to go. So author, title, you can fill in the information as you move down the page. All right, so now that you've cited the source, you're going to write 2 to 3 sentences that give a broad overview of the argument, aims, and or scope of the source. So what are Harry Morris's broad aims, scopes, arguments, etc.? Next, you're going to want to write 2 to 3 sentences that explain the main mode of inquiry and or evidence that the source uses. So we know that Morris, the sample scholar, is going to use close reading, but as you move into the performance and or internet sources, what methods do those authors use to achieve their goals? You can write 1 to 2 sentences that assess the validity of the source. First, did the author accomplish the goal that he or she set out for himself or herself? Finally, because you've already stated the main claim or goal and the evidence or methods that the author uses to achieve the goal, figure out how successful the author is in meeting those goals. And then finally, you want to write a couple sentences that explain how the source fits into your larger web project. Annotations are super useful. You're going to have to use them a whole bunch of times. We use them, they get used across the disciplines. Chances are you might have to do some sort of annotated bibliography, if not in a class, then for a larger project, maybe in your senior year and definitely in graduate school. So, let's see. Why don't... if you go to... All right, so now that I've talked to you about the components of an annotation, if you click here, this will take you to the group website assignment page, and if you scroll down, here's the scholarship sample page that I made. Click on that. Per the instructions in the assignment, I would like you to write a couple 100-word introduction or header to this page, and then beneath it include the annotations. All right, so here is a sample annotation of Harry Morris's essay. So last name, first name, title of the article in quotations because it is a short title of a short work. PMLA is the database, or I'm sorry, the publication that we found it or that it came from. It's what is it? Issue 85.5 was published in 1970, and here's the page numbers. All right, so here, Morris argues a Latin poem attributed to Bernard of Clairvaux in the 14th century generates the memento mori tradition to which Hamlet belongs. Okay, claim. The following are key features of any memento mori text. The text strongly suggests fear of dying. Present in imagery or diction is the remainder. Tableau is laid out to provoke the audience into rejecting the way of the flesh, affirming the faith, and almost always includes the ubi sunt. Speaking about the fleshless skull, Morris explains outgrowth of the memento mori object is often quite distinct, blah, blah, blah. All right, so methodology, right? So he uses close reading to be able to first build an argument for what counts as memento mori and then run Hamlet up against it. Here is my assessment. While Morris argues that the graveyard scene meets all the standard requirements to qualify within the memori tradition, He questions the purpose of the existence of such a scene. That is, he sees Hamlet in the graveyard as a man, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then this is my assessment of Morris's validity. So fine, he sets up this framework through which to examine Hamlet and then responds. To answer the question he asked, Morris claims that the entire play is a memento mori that demonstrates that what seems to be missing from Hamlet in the graveyard scene is in fact present in all of the other characters throughout: love of the flesh, mortal sin, and lack of readiness to face imminent death. I should also include that this is a useful source for me to think about Hamlet's relationship to death and collecting in my larger project, which if I was writing this project, I would go back and include that. So, okay. So that's an example of how to write the annotation of an actual annotation. And then also this is what the page looks like. So I did a heading for scholarship. So here's 2 annotations on scholarship. And then down here, I did a new heading for performance or film. Well, I put these guys in notation. I didn't write the annotations. We can talk more about that in class. And then finally, the internet sources. And here's 2 internet sources. So one is a contemporary newspaper story about the hunt for Shakespeare's missing head. And then finally, you might want to include in the internet sources section one of the databases that we've been using. So here is Internet Shakespeare that we have been using in class. One other thing, just quickly about Internet Shakespeare that might be helpful is from the any part of the website, you can go to performance, and then you can search performance, I think. And then, here, let me search performance here. So if you're looking for resources for Hamlet and performance, Internet Shakespeare is useful for you. It gives you a nice long list of performances from 1917. Also a series of images from a variety of different performances, as well as a couple of reviews. Okay, so all right, so we reviewed searching for sources and assessing the validity. We reviewed how to write an annotation, give you an overview of the group website model. Now, finally, if you would, just go ahead and click on the same document that you completed your textual editing assignment in, and then scroll down to the second half, where just like the editing activity, there's a directions for the annotation, and then just write your annotation beneath your name in the Google document. All right, guys, that's everything. I will see you on Wednesday to finish up Hamlet. Let me know if you have any questions.